In this next story from The Observer, big tech and CEOs poured millions into the election. This is who they supported. The Department of Justice sued Google for alleged monopolistic practices. Both the Senate and House representatives have reamed out top tech CEOs in multiple hearings this year. President Donald Trump, the king of memes, has a personal animus with the Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, the one whose head is so shiny it's like a mirror. And misinformation is rife across social media outlets shaping American politics. After years of cordial but largely distant relations between Washington, D.C. and the tech industry, controversial business tactics, accusations of bias, and activism during a Black looter mob Antifa Nazi riots all summer long, where they terrorized America, in the middle of a pandemic. They started burning down our own businesses as if they weren't already badly hit enough by the pandemic. You also had to burn their business down and jack all their shit because you're so mad at the white man. You have to go jack their stuff. So the Black looter mob, Antifa Nazi, have put giants of Silicone Valley, have become front and center in American politics. It's because they controlling all our speech up on the internet. I was suspended on Facebook for the past 3 days because I said to someone, "Why you always got to be a punk bee?" And, the female dog, because these people hate female dogs so much. I don't understand. What is y'all's problem with the female dogs? Why is there so much hate towards them? They're so cute. That profits have soared while the rest of America's economy has been struggled throughout the COVID pandemic recession, has created more tension. It's also allowed big tech companies and their executive to spend a whole lot of money on Tuesday's election. It is insane how much money they spent. Below, we'll dive into big donations from these companies and their employees and their CEOs, which have soared past $50 million in this election cycle. Here, Alphabet, the parent company of Google and YouTube, they donated $21 million to Joe Magoo Biden, a.k.a. the streaking White House groper, the one that the Secret Service agent had to be restrained from when he groped his girlfriend at a White House event. China Joe, the one with the crackhead son that takes all the money from China and the, what was the Ukrainian energy firms? I think was that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Google's parent company is Alphabet is one of the largest corporate donors during the 2020 election cycle. Company's employees and PACs have contributed a total of $21 million to presidential and congressional candidates since 2019. Nearly 80% of the funds went to Democrats. Just 7% went to Republicans, probably the ones they were trying to unseat another incumbent. A whopping $3.66 million went to China Joe Biden's campaign. The tech giants also gave nearly $1 million to Bernie Socialist Sanders and $700,000 to Elizabeth Native American Warren, the Democrat Super PAC, Future Forward USA, and the DNC are the large. Oh, sorry, I messed up. It's Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. I bungled that one up. I'm so sorry about that. Damn. How could you forget Pocahontas? For real. Among individual donors, Alphabet and Google CEO Sundar Pichai contributed a total of $10,000 through 6 donations to Google's PAC. And Google co-founder Larry Page made $5,000 one-time donation in late 2019. Microsoft is the next largest donor on the list with a total contributions of $17 million going to China Joe Biden and Democrat super PACs. Also, major donation to the 2020 election season. Oops, sorry, that was a repeat. 3/4 of Microsoft funds went to Democrats, or as I like to call them, Democrats, and 14% went to Republicans. Top recipients included Senate Majority PAC, $2.4 million. China Joe Biden got $2 million, and the Democratic National Committee got $1.5 million. And the Democrat Super PAC Unite the Country got $1.5 million. Next up on the list, we got Amazon from Mr. Shiny Head Bezos with a total contribution of $8.9 million, because he's that stingy. Top recipients is China Joe Biden. These donations were made through individual and PAC donors to federal candidates. Oops. So Amazon's PAC contributed over $1 million to the total spending, including $5,000 donation from CEO Jeff Shiny Bald-Headed Bezos. In 2018, Bezos made his first big political donation of $10 million to the With Honor Fund, a quote-unquote bipartisan group that works to elect military veterans. I'm not really sure why they say bipartisan instead of nonpartisan. This should be a red flag if they say, no, it's bipartisan. That does not mean that it's nonpartisan. Right? You got to parse the words from these snake oil salesmen very carefully, and you will see that they are indeed selling you snake oil. But they're helping veterans allegedly, but a lot of snakes hide behind stuff like that. I don't know anything about those people, though. Next up on the list, Facebook contributing $6 million. Top recipient is China Joe Biden. More than 92% of the funds came from individuals, mirroring Google's, Microsoft's partisan splits. Facebook spent nearly 80% of the funds on Democrats, only 10% on Republicans. China Joe's campaign alone received $1.3 million from the social media monopoly, followed by Bernie Socialist Sanders, who received $249,000. The DNC received approximately $347,000, while the RNC and top Republican beneficiary got $216,000. Boy, you know, if you get Facebook, you want to make a donation, man. You should put one in the on rsscommentary.com/donate. You make a donation via PayPal. You're giving out that much money. I could use a little bit of that, Mr. Moneybags. Next up on the list, we got Apple. Total contributions, $5.7 million. Top recipient, China Joe Biden. Apple doesn't have its own PAC, but the company's employees and their family members contributed about $5.7 million in the 2020 election cycle. Nearly 80% of the money went to Democrats, and a paltry 4.3% went to Republicans. About it, probably what they did give was to unseat someone else or to primary someone who was not going along with the party line. About a quarter of the funds, $1.4 million, went to China Joe. Bernie Socialist Sanders and the DNC trails as the third largest beneficiaries, receiving $389,000 along and with $295,000 respectively. CEO Tim Cook has not donated to any charities this year, but he did give $236,100 to help Hillary email server Clinton in 2016. So that's just Tim Cook's MO. He's stingy. Why on earth would Tim Cook donate to charity? Dude, he's just stuffing mad cash in his pocket. He doesn't care about you. He just wants your money. He just wants you to be a fanboy so he could take advantage of you and rip you off on overpriced hardware and software that is not as interoperable or as high quality as competing options. Yes, whenever you close off your ecosystem, you do get lower quality, you get less competition, you get less options. Customer has to pay more and get less. But you got to give it up to Apple. They did drop that monopolistic, draconian 30% Apple App Store fee. They dropped it down to 15%. So credit where credit is due. He's ripping us off half as much as he used to. Next up on our list, we got Netflix. Total contributions, $5.42 million. Top recipients, Democrat super PACs. Like Apple, Netflix also doesn't have a PAC, yet its employees and their family members contributed $5.42 million in the 2020 election cycle. More than $3 million of the funds went to Senate Majority PAC. Other top recipients include Tech for Campaigns. That was $425,000. China Joe Biden got $387,582. Democratic National Convention got $314,427. Netflix related donors also gave $58,160 to Bernie Socialist Sanders and $42,129 to Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. Co-CEO Reed Hastings has been a huge Democratic Party booster this cycle. In September, he donated $1 million to Senate Majority PAC, the party's main U.S. Senate fundraising vehicle, along with another $1 million in June. Hastings has also been very supportive of the Vote Vets, a PAC supporting military veterans, running for office as Democrats. So they like to hide behind the veterans in order to get votes, but not all veterans, just Democrat veterans, because that's the only veterans that count to these people. That's all they want to help. If you're a Republican veteran, no, out the door, bro. We're just using you veterans in order to get people to vote. So, out. Resist the urge to strangle them. Please, you have to be the bigger party. Mass murder, genocide, not a good thing. Hastings has also been very supportive of Veto Vets, a PAC supporting military veterans running for office as Democrats, to the tune of $180,000 donated. He was a big backer of Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg and John Hickenlooper when they ran for nomination last winter. Twitter is next up on the list here. Total contributions, $689,000. Top recipient, China Joe Biden. Of that, China Joe received $157,000. No other candidates received outsized donations. Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren and Bernie Commie Sanders also each received between $30,000 and $46,000 in donations. And is that it? Whew. So, obviously, these people are heavily biased. They don't like Republicans. Honestly, we don't like them. So, feelings mutual. They like to suppress our views, but even when they try to suppress our views, they can't because our content is way more engaging. When we criticize, it can burn and sting when you are emotionally attached to being right because it is just so good and real. It just hits that bullseye. Bam! Right in the trigger button. Next thing you know, you got these feminists just screaming. Just yelling and screaming. And here up in this next article from Vox. This one's about Mark Zuckerberg donated in this article. This was in September 1st, and he had donated $300,000. What is the title? I can't see the title. There it is. Sorry. Zuckerberg's $300 million donation to protect elections must overcome Facebook's past. This is from a very leftist source. Vox is definitely not conservative in any way, shape, or form. And it says one of Zuckerberg's largest ever gifts became an immediate flashpoint in the debate over the billionaire's philanthropy. Zuck and his wife Priscilla Chan donated $300 million to protect America's election. Then they donated another $100 million. This was a while ago. It's one of the couple's largest ever single gifts, meant to bolster democracy during this pandemic. But it's also one that critics say is brimming with irony given Facebook's past failures in protecting integrity of elections. The Facebook chief said on Tuesday that he sent money to 2 civic organizations, which in turn will direct it to state and local election officials so they can prepare for an unprecedented election day. Because you got to remember, it's totally normal for big tech companies to make plans before the election to cover or to stop the president from challenging the election. Like, that's not at all suspicious. Like, if you haven't been following this, Mark Zuckerberg has been doing these like emergency drills for if Donald Trump doesn't concede the election. And they had it all planned on how to rig the election, how to figure out how to, they got all these fact checkers getting paid off, like Just the News and Real Clear. Hold on. What's that other one? Can't remember. We're going to deal with them a little bit. But people, they think they're like, oh, we just, USA Today said, oh, we fact checked it. And then you look in the fine print. They're like, oh, we're a Facebook fact checker. So Facebook hires us to debunk this stuff. And we're just trying to fulfill this contract as soon as possible. Ends up being like the Candace Owens incident, where they're just trying to piggyback on other people's success. the fact checkers they're trying to prove other people wrong, and they want to be the first one to publish the story. They want to be the first one to be like, oh, we got them. See, here's the errors in the story. This is why they're not telling the truth. And then they'll make up a bunch of stuff. In the case of Candace Owens, she was making $25 million a year on the Facebook account. And then they put out all these lies about her, and she sued them, and she won. She sued the fact checkers, not Facebook. And she won. So the fact checkers aren't these like innocent angels that have your best interest in mind. They're clickbait artists, and they work for an elite ivory tower liberal journalist class that they are just trying to make money off you. They'll tell you anything that you want to hear to get you to like the post, watch the ad, buy the product, and vote for them. That's why they're extremely corrupt. That's why they're not good people, and why you should never vote for them ever. Because fundamentally, they care more about getting money on clickbaits than they do about the truth, democracy, or you. So they're fundamentally a threat and a danger to your family, your personal liberty, and your country. The Facebook chief said on Tuesday he had sent the money to 2 civic organizations, which in turn will direct it to state and local officials so they can prepare for unprecedented election day. The coronavirus pandemic has caused many states to radically shift on short notice how they will administer elections to ensure safety. A majority of Americans say they're anticipating the vote early or by mail this year. So Mark Zuckerberg bought all these ballot boxes in Pennsylvania and in Delaware County. They put these ballot boxes every 4 square miles. And in the Republican districts, they put them every 1,100 square miles. And so it was really easy for anybody in a Democrat area to find these ballot boxes, really hard for anybody in Republican areas to find the ballot boxes. And then they put solar-powered cameras on them. So at night, the cameras went off. So if you wanted to get into the ballot boxes so that you could ballot harvest and take out the Republican ballot, because you can scan it with an app and see whether or not they're Republican or Democrat. And you can throw out the votes, prevent them from voting. We have no record that this didn't happen. Mark Zuckerberg was paying for the poll workers. He was funding their hourly rates, and they had this Rock the Vote group who I used to volunteer for back when I was the volunteer for intern at the far leftist Lane Community College in Eugene, Oregon. I was also a secretary of treasury for my student government too, ASLCC. And I remember when I worked for Rock the Vote, I used to not if I thought somebody was a Republican, I thought Republicans were racist and sexist and misogynist and xenophobic. So I wouldn't register to them to vote. I would only be looking for Democrats to register to vote. So this group, and I was a Marxist back then. This group is a Marxist group, far left Marxist group, working on the campuses, got all the crazy wingnut college kids that don't know that socialism's poison, that it don't work, and that China, these people think China's just innocent because they're a minority group. Like they can't do nothing wrong, right? Like they're just like immune. Like no, it's just the white people that have ever done anything wrong because they own the slaves and they took the land from the American Indians, and Nazis were white, and so this means that white people are bad. And doesn't matter that the communists killed way more people than the Nazis. To them, it's okay to kill a Nazi, but they themselves are commies. Makes no sense. Apparently, they never learned about the Korean or Vietnam War. Here in America, we have a long history of killing commies and Nazis. So if you want to play that game, it's not going to work out good for you. So maybe we should can the talk of hurting Nazis, because in all reality, National Socialism isn't necessarily tied to anti-Semitism, just because it's just like communism, only it's slightly different. It's like a hybrid of communism and capitalism, and it doesn't work. But it's no more evil than communism is. Both communism and National Socialism are just as evil. Both of them are bad. They're both two extreme ends on the socialism spectrum, and all of the places in between are bad. The only thing that is going to get you by is hard work and private property. That's the only thing you cannot rely on public property for anything. Do you know? Can anybody put down in the comments down below what you can rely on public property for? Is there any particular thing that you can rely on it for? For your retirement, for your family. What are you going to get from public property that's going to make your family able to like live and raise another family? Oh, welfare. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. This one doesn't work, dude. How about hard work? How about building something, making something with your hands, and then maybe you'll feel good about yourself and you won't want to be a commie. So these people, these Rock the Vote people, they gave them access. This whole thing is crazy, this story with the Rock the Vote. You'd almost assume it's made up, but they gave these Rock the Vote people access to count votes and to upload the votes to the servers. And Mark Zuckerberg funded it. It's like, wow. I mean, the only thing that could get any more conspiracy theory crazy land shit is if you got the Bilderberger group and Bohemian Grove coming out with QAnon. That's the only way. I mean, we are straight up going down this shit chute down into back shit crazy land right now. Just like, damn. You got to look it up. It's called a Zuckerbox. So look up Zuckerbox 2020 election. We've already covered this on the show, so I'm not going to go back and cover it again. But the should pop up at Zuckerbox on RSS commentary on YouTube. Or you just type it into Google. You can read the articles. Most of that information came from Phil Klein, former Attorney General of Kansas. So far, I haven't heard anything that debunks those claims of the Zuckerbox. Definitely seems as though Mark Zuckerberg really doesn't like Republicans. He really likes Democrats. And so he's definitely not a neutral arbiter. So Facebook, I mean, you must assume that Facebook is going to represent the politics of the people who run Facebook. So this is something we got to keep in mind moving forward. What else is in here? All right, that's it for this portion of the live stream. Stick around. Live stream's not over. Coming up, we got some more RSS news and political commentary coming up. So don't forget to smash that like button if you like this content. If you thought it sucked, hit that dislike button. Say this stinks. You're stupid. This sucks. This is why I'm right down below. And then we'll see whether or not who wins the flame war. Best way you can support RSS commentary to help us grow is to share this video on social media, as well to subscribe on RSS commentary on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're get notified whenever I go live, because we got these badass thumbnails.